Every once in a while, when I'm attempting to inform someone of the Sustainable Development Agenda 21 plan that's being implemented across the state, country, and world, I get the response, "Why have I never heard of that before?" It's a fair question. How can such a vast and influential plan for the world that affects everyone be being implemented everywhere, and yet most people have never heard of it? This is my somewhat brief answer to that question. Speaking specifically on the United Nations Agenda 21 Program of Action, it is important to understand that the specific terms used in Agenda 21, like human settlement and local Agenda 21, are usually not used by organizations pushing Agenda 21 in your local communities. This change in terminology is because of the negative publicity the plan has received since its conception. We know the promoters of Agenda 21 have had to use different terminology from what J. Gary Lawrence has written. J. Gary Lawrence has served as an advisor under President Bill Clinton on the President's Council on Sustainable Development, the PCSD, as well as being a director of the Center for Sustainable Communities at the University of Washington and a chief planner in the city of Seattle. Lawrence gave a presentation in London, England, June 29, 1998, titled "The Future of Local Agenda 21 in the New Millennium," where he explained how the terminology of Agenda 21 must be changed when attempting to influence local legislation to prevent conspiracy theories about a UN takeover or a one-world government from arising. Quote, "Participating in a UN-advocated planning process would very likely bring out many of the conspiracy-fixated groups and individuals in our society, such as the National Rifle Association, citizen militias, and some members of Congress. This segment of our society who fear one world government and a UN invasion of the United States through which our individual freedom would be stripped away would actively work to defeat any elected official who joined the conspiracy by undertaking Local Agenda 21. So, we call our processes something else, such as comprehensive planning, growth management, or smart growth." End quote. That is why you've never heard of Agenda 21. The proponents of New World Order globalism intentionally try to hide their plans and goals. The idea that powerful elite groups of people meet and secretly make plans to increase their influence, though, is not exclusive to the creators of Agenda 21. For most of recorded human history, there have been tales of people meeting covertly to share information, make plans, and gain power. In Plato's Republic, written around 380 BC, it discusses how men could hide their vices and greed and remain undiscovered by forming secret societies and political clubs. More recently, a world system of finance was secretly set up in the early part of the 20th century, the culmination of which being the Bank for International Settlements. Former Georgetown professor, historian, and mentor to President Bill Clinton, Carroll Quigley, discusses the secretive creation of this global banking system in his copious book, Tragedy and Hope. Quote, "The powers of financial capitalism had another far-reaching aim, nothing less than to create a world system of financial control in private hands able to dominate the political system of each country and the economy of the world as a whole. This system was to be controlled in a feudalist fashion by the central banks of the world, acting in concert by secret agreements arrived at in frequent private meetings and conferences. The apex of the system was to be the Bank for International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, a private bank owned and controlled by the world's central banks, which were themselves private corporations." End quote. Another professor, George C. Lodge, this time from Harvard Business School, also reveals in his 1995 book, Managing Globalization in the Age of Interdependence, how certain people are able to covertly organize and influence those with power without being publicized throughout the media. Quote, "Energetic and creative individuals in government, interest groups, and corporations are quietly assembling global arrangements to deal with crises and tensions. For the most part, they work outside of legislatures and parliaments and are screened from the glare of the media in order to find common interests, shape a consensus, and persuade those with power to change." End quote. Important to note, Professor Lodge is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, as well as a trustee of the Carnegie Endowment, two organizations that deserve their own critical analysis for the vital roles that they have played in the creation and propagation of the Agenda 21 program of action. Finally, bringing it all back to UN Agenda 21, I've made multiple videos discussing the Rockefeller connection to the global program of action, and have before used this incredible quote by David Rockefeller from his book, Memoirs, which discusses his involvement with a secret group looking to create a one-world system of governance. Quote, "Some even believe we, the Rockefeller family, are part of a secret cabal working against the best interest of the United States, characterizing my family and me as internationalists, and of conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political and economic structure, one world, if you will. If that's the charge, I stand guilty, and I am proud of it." End quote. There you have it. So that's why you haven't heard of Agenda 21. It is purposely being hidden from you. While I can give multiple other examples of proof that people with power devise secretive schemes to gain more power, I think the point is made. Just keep these quotes in mind next time you hear something and think, if that was true, I surely would have heard about it. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the channel and watch the related videos.